Hi there boys and girls, Brucey here, and as promised I am doing a rundown of my whole pedal board, showing you how I've got the MIDI set up to control each of the two units. The MS-3 is basically the brains of this, controlling the pedals and the HX Stomp. I hope you can see that all clearly. Let me bring that back a little bit. So this is my gigging setup. Currently I'm using my Fender American Stratocaster. Which is my main guitar. I'm in the neck position here. And in the bridge position I have a hot rails that gives me a little bit more grind and So currently I am on my default #1 position, and what happens is I have my wireless here. Wireless comes in, goes into the EP booster. I just love the sound of this. This is always on this pedal. The other thing about it is I can kind of control the gain. If I switch to another guitar perhaps with a little bit more output on the pickups, I can just turn this down, but it's just adds something to the sound and I love it. Into the Crybaby wah there. I'm not going to operate this because this is kind of standing up at the moment and it's probably going to fall over at some point. So we then go into the MS-3. Currently nothing is happening on the MS-3, nothing is on at all. We then go straight into the HX Stomp where I have a compressor for my clean sound. Clean sound. Into an amp, which is, if I remember correctly, the Cali, Texas Channel 1, which I think is a great clean sounding amp. Into a Singtail Warm Marshall IR, which I really like. And then into Spring Reverb. On the HX Stomp, I have a delay set up. And I have an octave. So that is my basic sound that I use most of. On the MS-3 then, if I use the current num function, see my other videos for what the current num function does. Currently, the simple way of saying it is I'm currently on patch GT clean, which matches up to the patch here. If I press the same patch button, it just switches in the loop and the sweet cream, which is normally about there, comes in. So volume's changed a little bit since the last gig. So that's that. Let me switch that off. If I then go into the memory mode here, I have a whole bunch of effects that I might use. Particularly, I have a Univibe sound. And another delay. So if I'm actually on this patch, I tend to use this delay rather than this delay, although you'll see in the next patch that I actually combine them both together using MIDI. So that is my first patch. Let me come back out of that. Let's go to the second patch. This is where it gets a little bit more fun. This is my crunch patch. Not much difference. It's a little bit darker and a little bit more hair to it, but so you can see the delay is already on here. As we go through the patches, that should actually be off. I have here, again, let's see what that is, an auto up. I have that there, that's my bonus effect that I have per patch. As you'll probably see as I go through, and I've explained this on another video, I tend to have exactly the same setup. Maybe I change the amp out, but I always usually seem to have a compressor and a delay, and then I have the bonus effect which I use per patch. And in this case it is the auto up. So if we go here, again, current num, we'll switch in the sweet cream. So that switches in the sweet cream. If I then go here, this is where the fun really starts. This is where I'm using the MIDI assigns to control different things on the HX Stomp. As you probably saw as well, when I switch patches, that switch patches on the HX Stomp. So first off here, I have the ability to switch the compressor on. The difference is here is I have the compressor after the amp just to give myself a little bit of a boost. So that's a bit of a lead boost there. Here I've got a vibrato. I should say, going back to the switch here, that is controlling, you can see the compressor on and off via a MIDI assign. I'm switching the block on and off from the MS-3. And now if we turn the vibrato off and go over to the delay, here I actually, as you can see, the delay on both come on. And I've actually got a combination of a tape delay and a straight delay on the... And here I can just turn them both off. So I'm again controlling the HX Stomp from the MS-3. So that is my crunchy patch. Again, if I go out of here, I can, we're using current num, I can switch in the sweet cream. I also have here, you'll see, wonder why I've not switched that. I'm going to switch the loop off, switch the delay off. I also have an overdrive from the MS-3 that I have on patches. That's not there for any reason. I just kind of thought it sounded nice to begin with. I'm not so sure. Now, let me turn the compressor off. That's just to say, in emergency, if I want to change the sound out, I'm not happy with this, I'm not feeling it, I've just got a random overdrive that I can switch in and out per patch. Okay, again, via MIDI, we now switch to my dirtier patch. What we have here, I should say as well, is we have a T-Mar, the Timmy pedal. So I'm actually using the overdrive from this to drive a placator clean. And actually, I probably should have said on the previous patch, if we go back to the previous patch, let me have a look here. You see I have the placator clean for that dirty, for the crunchy sound. And if I move over to here, I've got the placated clean, but I've actually just turned up the drive. Now I could do that with a snapshot, and I probably will in the future. Watch this space and I will certainly do a video. So I'll actually get the snapshot switching these on and off from the MS-3. Again, pretty similar setup. I've got the compressor there for a boost, delay and some reverb. Back into here. Again, we've got the delays coming on. And finally, again, we have the solo booth. I could probably actually tame that down a little bit, turn that, it's actually overloading it a little bit. That's one of the reasons you need to really be gigging, because setting patches at home is very different than setting patches at gigs. What you will also see on some of my patches is I've got a lot of low cut in, because the bass is, you know, in any gigging environment, you don't really want a lot of bass, because the bass drum, the kick drum and the bass guitar and the keyboard are filling up the space. You want to just get out of their way, so it's happy to cut. And if you listen to those patches at home, they probably sound a little bit weak and weedy. But in the gigging environment, you're in the money. So that is that patch. And then finally, we go into the kind of megally stupid patch. Again, so when we switch this patch, the delay is already on. Just go down to here, and of course once again phaser here for any time I want to do a cut. For those you are interested in seeing, this is the back of the board. Always like to keep things nice and super tidy as much as I can. I think I've done a relatively good job here. Most importantly, everything here is being powered by the True Tone 1 Spot. It's a really great power supply. A little bit pricey, but really worth it. It fits well under the board. And the thing is, it's obviously having to drive the HX Stomp and the MS-3, both are which are high current devices. The HX Stomp requires a number of adapters to change the polarity to get that to work. And then I've got another current adapter, which you can see there, which is powering the MS-3. And because there are so few other pedals, they are being powered off a daisy chain, and the Helix and the Line 6 G30 is being powered off of its own isolated output to prevent any noise. It all seems to work fine. The pedals which are daisy chained are just analog pedals, so there's not going to be a lot of noise in there. There's definitely going to be no digital noise. It's pretty clean, and there's hardly any current draw for a simple overdrive pedal. So that is the back of the board. So there you have it. There is a rundown of my gigging pedal board currently. As I say, this is a bit of a work in progress. I am currently updating bits and pieces, and I will be doing more complicated switching from the MS-3. As I said, this is kind of basically acting as the brains to control this and give me a lot more options and the odd effect that I may or may not need. And the ability to loop in pedals, which I want, because doing it on the Helix is going to cost me a block. But again, with a bit of planning, and that's the important thing about this, is you've got to, you know, try and plan out what it is you want, and it's only through doing gigs and figuring out what sounds you need and which ones come up when you're playing different songs that you need to figure out a system of developing it so you can easily get the sounds that you want. I should say that all of this is then being done via MIDI. You can see we're connected via MIDI to here. The MIDI is controlling the patch changing in the Helix Stomp, and the controller changes are controlling via assigns, controlling the patches, and the MIDI assigns with the MS-3 are controlling the block changes via MIDI controller change in the HX Stomp. As I mentioned before, I will probably be setting up snapshots as well to do that. And the other thing that I'm kind of excited to do is to be able to set up the looper, to control the looper from the MS-3 on a dedicated patch for looping, which will be great for my teaching because I use a looper for teaching all the time. I hope you found that useful. I've been Brucey, and I will catch you later.